What's going on, everyone? Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm, DFS Alarm, college sports live stream. And I'm calling it college sports today because we're covering some college basketball and some college football. We got plenty of bowl games to get to in a sec here, Pete, but you have the playbook out for college basketball. And COVID or not, we are having a slate today, apparently, even though a couple games are being affected already. But Pete, how are you doing? You ready for all day of college sports here?
Yeah, I think the most important thing of the day is to have your Twitter on. And I don't look at Twitter all day, but this is one of those days you really need to with college football and basketball. There's all this news is happening by the second. Cancellations, people out. So
news left and right.
It's a good day to get leverage, I guess, if you're home and you have nothing better to do. But you know what I mean? So, get some late news. And that's what I guess we're going to talk about in college football because it's important. Some of these guys, some of these stars, I'm not even sure these guys are going to play or whatever. But, I'm ready. It's a good Saturday for December, right? College basketball and college football.
Right. Yeah. If you're got all your Christmas shopping done, then just sit at home and watch some sports today. That's the way to do it. Yep. So we have, first of all, just appreciate everyone joining us here all college football season long. This was a good time doing it, me and Pete, all season. And so today is probably the last college football live stream that we'll be doing, just with the bowl season and some of the slates being, not as many good games. You got the New Year's Eve and the New Year's Day slates that'll be like two of the bigger ones still left with 5-6 games going on. But today we have, this is the first bowl slate that we have, plenty of games going on all day long. So we are here to cover it. But we will be starting to do more college basketball live streams for you guys. Weekday maybe before slates lock at night. And definitely these Saturday and eventually Sunday slates as we get some better slates here. But today's college basketball slate is very good. So go check out Pete's playbook for college basketball over at DFS Alarm right now. FanDuel slate starts at noon Eastern. DraftKings starts at 2:30 Eastern. So plan accordingly there. And thankfully, the DraftKings early slate has this Tennessee-Memphis game. So if you're playing over there, that game is canceled. Tennessee is apparently scrimmaging themselves in Nashville. If you're around there, if you want to go check that out. So that game is off the board. The DraftKings slate, and I don't know if it's on FanDuel Tool, but they have the UNC UCLA game on there. And that game is canceled. UNC is now playing Kentucky, but that game is not on the slate. So just keep that in mind if you're looking to play some of those guys. But Pete, I'll let you kind of take the floor here and go whatever direction you want with this slate. Teams, games that you're looking at, players that you're definitely locking in. But yeah, take it away, man.
So our producer Matt was right. I just saw the tweet go across that they are playing a scrimmage in Peterson Arena today.
Let's get that on the slate, huh? Let's get the inter-squad scrimmage on the slate.
For inter-squad scrimmage, so that's pretty cool, actually. So yeah, we got 5-game slate, and what kind of makes you mad because they put UNC UCLA on there, and the game had already been canceled. And UNC picked up, was it Kentucky or whatever, and then DK never did anything with it. So
that's
we're
annoying.
Stuck here. Yeah, it's very annoying right now. So don't bother with that early slate, which is down to like what 2 games, a 2-game slate now. But still, I think the 2:30 is. I think it's a decent slate. I don't like the contest selection today though. They're kind of treating it as like it's a football, like an NFL Sunday or something. It's a little bit better than that, but it's not great for Saturday. But there's plenty of plays, and like I threw in a playbook. We have probably I'm trying to pull up the odds here. The highest implied game right now on the DK slate is the Xavier Marquette now is up to 150 150 over under, and I don't have a lot of interest really in that game, which is kind of strange. But you'll see most of these most of these teams' implied scores are all between like 65 and 75. I mean, this is one of the rare slates where it seems like everybody's bunched together. Xavier's the highest, LSU second highest, and then Oklahoma State and Georgia Tech are the lowest. But there's only like 15 points between them all. So interesting slate. I think it's one of these. There's going to be a bunch of chalk on here, where I'm just seeing a lot of places on Twitter across the industry are corn like the same 5-6 different guys. I don't like that, so you want to try to get away from that. So I guess to start with guard, the high price guy is Mike DeVoe. I'm a huge DeVoe guy, and I think he's a tough matchup today. Obviously, USC, they're dogs, but this may be where you can get maybe Mikey DeVoe a little bit under-owned because I don't think he's going to be really popular. We have some other guys up in that price range that you can pivot to, not just DeVoe when you got Mobley up there, and if you're going to go if you're going to use like DeVoe in utility or other guys. Like now it looks like Marcus Saucer is going to be back. That's another big thing on the slate race is Houston. The bunch of those guys all were out the other day with Saucer, Trayman, Mark, somebody else too.
Reggie Chaney, I think.
Chaney. So, and a bunch of people jumped on that leverage here tonight and did really well. So tonight it looks like Saucer's going to be back. It's not confirmed. It looks like I think Chaney may be back, but they're not sure about Mark. Nothing's confirmed. So if Saucer's back, I think you got a really nice leverage GBP there for Saucer. I think he's going to come in under-owned. It's a late game, and people are not going to want to wait that long, and a lot of people still think he's going to be out. So Saucer's a decent GBP play. Devo, I think, is a good cash GBP. Another guy I really like is Jordan Walker for UAB. Walker's been around Seton Hall. Then he went to Tulane. Unknown guy, but he's a superstar. I mean, he's an elite player at UAB. I mean, he does it all. When you see guys with usage rates over 30% and shot rates over 30%, that's a guy you want to be looking at in your cash plays. And Jordan Walker is one of those guys. He's 7K on DK and 7.9 on FanDuel. So good price on both sites, and he'll probably be my main lineup. So that might be where you get some leverage. RJ Cole is up there too. He's another decent play. And that's your other injury question is UConn guys. It looks like Tyrese Martin is coming back tonight.
Yeah. And
Adama Sanogo is still a game time decision, which is going to be real important. What time is that game? That's that's 5 p.m.
Yeah,
because if Sanogo's out, that brings Aycock into pretty much almost a core play, a value play, because he's going to play 30 minutes. I mean, he's not a great offensive player, but at 3.7, he's going to make value. I mean, he's pretty much done it the last, 3 games he's played.
Why the heck is he that cheap?
And you would think by now that the algorithm would have caught up to it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so, I don't get that.
3 games, he's putting up like almost over 20 DK points a game, averaging 8 points and 7 rebounds, 30 minutes last 3 games.
Yeah.
But as soon as Sanogo comes back, Aycock's going to be back for probably like 12, 13 minutes because I mean he's not a great basketball player. He'll get your rebounds and you'll catch value right there just on rebounds. He doesn't have to score any points.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like the play was guard forward. He's like the big value play if Sanogo's out. So a bunch of other guys who you got on the FanDuel slate though, Jaden Ivey on Purdue. You can run Ivey. He's not on DK. Run Ivey if you're on FanDuel. Jamal Sheed is another guy for Houston. I mean, he's really done. He took that starting job from Taze Moore, and he hasn't looked back.
Yeah, he's been good.
30 minutes. Yeah, really well. So
I gained a ton of respect for him personally, by the way, when he was the guy cleaning up the trash after they lost to Alabama. Yeah, that was that. For that reason alone, I'll play him.
And here's news: T. Will start and Zach Eddy's going to the bench for Purdue. That just popped up on my Twitter.
Oh wow!
So yeah, for you guys playing FanDuel, so definitely you'd want to play T. Will, right?
Well, I want to ask you about that because that is really interesting because it's been ED starting, but they've been splitting. It's been 20 minutes each, basically for every game. They've just been splitting that center spot down the middle. Down the middle. But it's been Williams like in crunch time and down the stretch. I think they've timed it out so that Williams is the guy that they're closing with, even though Edey was starting. I think today's game will definitely tell us a lot about their split moving forward. I do think it's interesting though because Purdue has been not as like the dominant team that they were supposed to be in recent games. So maybe this is kind of a switch to see if this, if Edey coming off the bench makes him like that much more of a dominant center. And Williams is, he almost went left to go to the NBA. Like this guy is, I know Edey's like a taller, bigger guy, and maybe thought of as more, college talented, but like Williams is the guy for me. That's like he was like the NBA prospect. Like if Jaden Ivey wasn't on that team, then it'd be Williams' team. So I think that's really interesting that he's moving into the starting lineup.
It's actually his first start of the whole year. And the interesting part is I just pulled up Ken Palm as we were talking. T-Will right now is a number 2 ranked player nationally. Zach Edey is number 10 ranked. And you look at these, their rates are like, these are like elite. I mean, T-Will usage 34.6, shot rate 32. He's got a combination rebound rate of almost over 40, 30% assist rate. And then even Edey, 33.5 usage, 31.8 shot rate. These are elite numbers. It's just too bad that you couldn't get these guys on the court together starting because they do it. I mean, what's Edey's averaging 17 minutes a game, and T-Will's averaging 20. So I mean, obviously, whatever they're doing whatever they're doing right, I guess, right? So why mess with it? But they are today with putting T-Will in. I've always thought T-Will should be starting anyways, but I don't know. He's having a hell of a season right now. Imagine if he was able to play 40 games and was actually, he would be unstoppable. But,
yeah, he'd be a DFS stud every game. Yeah. I mean, what they're doing though is like is kind of smart. I mean, well, because like if either one gets into foul trouble, you got the other one to bring in. And for the other team, whoever they're trying to put on, whether they have a center with size or not, whoever they're trying to put on to guard either Edey or Williams, they're inevitably going to get into foul trouble or struggle with one of them. And then, you're battling down low with Edey, and then you bring in Williams to kind of clean it up. I mean, it's smart. So, and if you have the 2 talented bigs there that, Williams was willing to come back to Purdue to do that, to possibly play for a championship. Like, I get it.
Yeah. You got Jaden Ivey, we're not even talking about sitting there that is not even really close to their usage rates, even assist rates with T-Will. So yeah, that's a good team, and obviously they're doing something right here. So who am I to criticize their starting lineup? But I guess getting back to the other guards. So we like Jamal he's 5'8", so definitely in play. He's going to be probably a little popular because of that price. Anybody, Jordan Usher, to me, GVP play. Drew Peterson's having a hell of a season right now. And USC. He's another. I didn't realize, so I looked up when I was writing the playbook how Robinson right now is. I mean, Peterson. I think he's actually the team usage leader on that team, which I just assumed it was Mobley, and it is actually no, it's Goodwin. I'm checking a Goodwin. So
okay.
Goodwin's another sneaky play. Goodwin's a usage leader right now, so doesn't get played much at all in DFS. So that's your guards. But the top value guards is we mentioned Aycock. Another one is Blake Wesley. Blake Wesley is now starting. He broke in the starting lineup, and right away he had that game winner against Kentucky last week. So that jumped him up. And he's one of those guys. He's never seen a shot. He doesn't like Blake Wesley. I love watching this kid play. And he's going to get 25, 26 minutes, 30% usage. He's only 4,300. So to me, Wesley's a core play because of that price. Aycock would probably be a core play if Snow goes out, and then you pick on those big guards like Debo, Jordan Walker. Maybe get sneaky with a Marcus Sauce or something like that for guards.
Yeah, the Wesley call I love because I wrote about him in the playbooks and previously this season when he was he's min price or he was just still in the 3Ks. he's still way underpriced at 4,300 on DraftKings. The FanDuel price 5,900 is more appropriate. I like that, but I mean the Wesley, yeah, it's hard to ignore him. He's been so good, and he's definitely Notre Dame's best player now. So, yeah, I don't understand that price. I like the Jordan Walker call for UAB. I mean, it's just crazy to think that UAB is favored here. Against West Virginia. It's just something I didn't think we would be at this point. I mean, that's just how good this team's been this year, and West Virginia's been up and down. So, yeah, I mean and it's at UAB, which is kind of a big deal. It's not like it's at West Virginia either. So, yeah, that'll be good.
And they're favorites.
Yeah, the favorites. What?
Another sneaky play that I was thinking of earlier too is as a value. He's actually a value is Xavier Johnson. We know he's going to come in low owned. It seems like every time he's on DFS slate, he gets in foul trouble or he has a bad game. But
he's been getting in foul trouble a lot.
Yeah, that's that. So I mean, you can't put him in cash games. But if he stays out of foul trouble at 5.6, that's a pretty damn good price for Xavier Johnson. He's the type of guy that can win you a GVP. Yeah. Ron Odom too. He's another sneaky play. I like Odom for Xavier. He's only 3.2. So I'd rather play Odom than Acock, actually. So it's, he could GVP play, of course, only, but he could get hot. That's pretty much all the guards. It's pretty basic. And then forwards, you got TJD, still too cheap, I think, even at 8.4. He's elite, coming off a career. I think a career high when he broke the Assembly Hall scoring record last week against Marshall at 43 points. So TJD is like a core type play. I think you got to make a decision on one of the LSU guys, Darius Days or Terry Eason. And Days looks like he's gonna be a popular play today, but don't sleep on Terry Eason right now. And they haven't even unleashed Eason yet. He's only playing like 20 minutes, 22 minutes a game, and his numbers right now are leads the team in scoring at 15.8 points a game. He's averaging 32 fantasy points. He's got 29% usage, 30% shot rate. So Easton, to me, is a really good GVP play. If they give him an extra 5 minutes to run today, he could another guy that could take over slate. But I think Days is probably more the cash play out of those two guys.
Yeah, I like that. The Easton call. Yeah,
Race Thompson, I think it's a good play. A lot of people don't think you could play TJD and Race together. I think you can, especially because right now Notre Dame is so weak and soft in the interior. I think they could definitely eat up today. Or you use Race as a leverage play up TJD and some GVPs, and maybe TJD gets in some foul trouble or has a bad game. Use Race as a pivot. But I think you play them both together. He's averaging almost a double a game, 10.6 points, 8.9 rebounds. So I like Race. I like Justin Lewis from Marquette today as another play probably using cash. Lewis is one of those guys who's just steady. And they played some decent defenses: Wisconsin, Kansas State, UCLA. The last three, Lewis has held his own. So a lot of people say that we can't play him against Xavier, but he did. I mean, he's done all right against you the last three games. So I think you could. I think Lewis is in play. Mobley to me is a GPP play. I'm up to TJD. What else we got? Zach Fremantle's another one. My problem with him though makes him GPP because his minutes. They're still kind of slowly working him in. But Fremantle's a great play with GPPs if he gets some extra minutes today. That's pretty much at the forwards. And then there's no forward values that really jump out. AB Kirkwood from Marquette. He's having a real solid season also. Once again, Xavier's a tough defense, man. But he starts, gets 20 minutes a game. He hasn't gone below 18 DK points his entire season. So that's another kind of a under-owned known stat. So Kawhi's having a good season. He came from Oklahoma. So 3.6, I think he's playable. He should be able to make value. I'm just out of it. He's got 24% combined rebound rate, 14% block rate. So he should be able to make value. I'd rather play Kawhi than a guy like Khalid Moore from Georgia Tech, who's 3K. I mean, Khalid Moore plays 30 minutes, but that's all he does. He just runs up and down the court, really, just does wind sprints because he doesn't really do much else. Said North Carolina game. He had a good game against North Carolina, but that was it. So he's just a wind sprinter. But that's pretty much play TJD. Said play one of Darius Days at Easton as your forwards. Maybe some Race Thompson. Then make a decision. Your big guard, you're going to play Devo, Marcus Saucer. One of those guys like RJ Cole. And then there's enough value there today, too, like Blake Wesley, Acock, and all that. You got to wait for some of this news, though, too, on UConn and Houston. That's a two big news. UConn and Houston, which is later in the day.
Yeah, so definitely stay glued to Twitter and our Discord. Just we'll be putting some of those injury updates in there. But the some of the stuff that comes out late, and it's tough to just truly give you guys the update. So it's better if you guys are on top of it as well, because it's literally a couple minutes before you see a starting lineup or whatever, and it's like this Trevion Williams. I mean, this is at least 10 minutes before that game, but yeah. So
Yeah, and you want to play T-Will now, definitely, I think, right? You want him in your main lineup if you're playing that early slate.
Yeah, I mean, he was like a really good play even coming off the bench.
It's true, yeah, even before he was, so.
Like, I'd rather play, even when he was more expensive, and coming off the bench, I'd rather play him over Edey. So that was my thought.
That's a good point. So maybe you play Edey more, people are going to be, as soon as they see Edey's going to the bench and T-Will starting, so it might be a nice sneaky play.
Yeah, because I mean, I watched a couple Purdue games in recent weeks, and it was like when Edey would start, be pretty good. Williams would come in and just be like, he, like I mentioned earlier, he would just come in against whether it was the backup bigs, or a big that now had a couple fouls or whatever. It was he just went to work and they fed him. That's why both of their usage rates are so high, because they just kind of feed it into them, and that's their plan, just to dominate inside, even though they have a guy like Ivy and good guards too. But I think in recent games, though, they realized that Williams is their best bet to just give them a bucket or control the offense, and they've been playing these tighter games. So I think that's why they're going to him more. Now they're starting him. So yeah, that's that. So. Well, we have so that FanDuel slate gets started at noon Eastern.
Yeah, that's the. I just laughed. In Tennessee basketball just sent another tweet out. Mistake, because nobody's allowed in the arena because of COVID. That's why they canceled the game. So I guess everybody showed up in force, and then they can't let anybody in anyways to watch the scrimmage. So if you're in Tennessee, don't bother going to the arena because it's shut down now. Bridgestone Arena.
Wow, that backfired.
Yep, exactly.
All right. Well, so that slate gets started on FanDuel at noon Eastern, but then the DraftKings slate at 2:30. So if any more updates or you guys have lineup questions, hit us up in the Discord, and we will be answering them. And Pete will be taking point with the playbook there. So go check out his playbook as well if you haven't at dfsalarm.com. Let's shift gears here to football. We have 5 bowl games set to kick off. We have the morning game at 11 Eastern, the Boca Raton Bowl. We had Western Kentucky and App State. That game is going on right now. But we have 5 more bowl games today, starting with 2:15 p.m. Eastern time. It's the New Mexico Bowl, UTEP and Fresno State. And then a few games after that. Some really good matchups and some really good players, too. And I think it headlines with Malik Willis of Liberty going to be one of the top quarterbacks or top overall players. There's 2 ways you could look at this. He might have the thought that he's already looking to the NFL and he's checked out. And by the way, we had Joshua Mack. The running back is not playing because he's declared for the NFL draft. So he's not playing in this game. But I guess we're still waiting on news. But I feel like we would hear if Malik Willis isn't playing. In my opinion, I wrote about this in the playbook. This is a great chance for him to kind of show out. And it's one of his last chances. I don't know if he's playing in the Senior Bowl or not, or one of the other, invitation bowls, but I think this is one of his last chances to show out for the NFL draft. He's going to be a first-round pick. And if he has a really good bowl game and then a really good Senior Bowl or whatever, all of a sudden he's, a top 5 pick maybe. So I think this is a good chance for him. And whether he's running it or throwing it, I think he's going to be heavily involved and be a hard to fade in cash, in my opinion, as your quarterback one. I mean, you can go a number of different directions for your super flex, but for me, like I look at Willis on the slate, and it's a high total game here. I love him. I mean, what do you think about Willis here?
Yeah, I think me personally, I think all your lineups got to start and pretty much every lineup today is going to start and end with Malik Willis. I'm on him and pretty much, I think BJ Baylor, the running back. But yeah, I'm not even sure
Baylor,
if he's even playing a Senior Bowl, because everything I'm seeing is this is his last chance to showcase NFL scouts before the combine. So I think it's going to be a blowout probably. So he may not play all 4 quarters, and it'll be. It's another, not change the subject, but I just saw Derek King is playing in the Senior Bowl from Miami. I thought he was just done for the year, but we're still.
He's coming back.
So yeah, but Willis is the play. Definitely, he's the top quarterback. People have been asking me, do you go? Is this like a super flex type day? We use somebody else as quarterback. I don't think so, because I kind of like. I see you're on Jake Haener, and I was going to ask you too if you have any updated news on him. But I like Bonner a lot. Like my favorite second quarterback, because this whole Haener situation is kind of worrying me too.
Well, yeah. So that is something, and I touched on in the playbook just of what the situation is. So he entered the transfer portal once the Fresno State coach left, and then he announced he was returning and even apologized, and so he's back with the team, and said he's excited to play under the new coach next year. But that's the thing, like he said, next year. He didn't mention the bowl game or anything. And beforehand, the interim coach said that it would be the 2 backups, Fife and Henderson, who would be battling for whoever's going to be the starting quarterback this week. And now asked about it, the interim coach is just kind of being shady about who's going to be the quarterback. So it could be Haener. Yes. He could be sitting out. He could play a quarter or two and then go to the bench. I mean, it's really a GPP, just boomer bust, because Haener's talent in Fresno State's offense with the receivers there. I mean, he could easily be the highest scoring quarterback on the slate, but we just have no idea if he's playing. So it's really annoying. But thankfully though, that game is the earliest one on the slate at 2:15. So we will know if he's playing. And even if you get word he's starting, it's still a risk because you don't know if he's going to play a half or whatever, or even just split time with the other guys. It's just a weird situation, and probably one in cash. I'm avoiding that, and I like Bonner. I wrote him in the playbook too. I like him a lot. Yeah. So he'd be like my second choice to Willis over Haener here. But I don't blame you at all if you want to roll the dice with Haener, because he'll see some low ownership. So yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that's a good call actually. If you're multi-entering, Fresno State historically does not give out a lot of information. We know that. If I'm the new coach, probably after all that nonsense, with Haener, with all that stuff, I'd probably be want to see what I have in the future. I probably wouldn't be playing Haener anyways if I was a coach. But yeah, if you're multi-entering, I would be getting Haener in a couple lineups just in case, because we all know, what he can do. We got him on some earlier DFS slates really early in the season. The guy's a stud. So, but I'm just playing like right now, like he's not even playing, and I'm probably going to Bonner. Like you said, you like him. You wrote him up. I mean, he's averaging over his last 6 games over 30 DK points a game. This is the highest game total, I believe. And they're going to be playing from behind, probably, right? So Bonner is probably my super flex. I was going to ask you, what do you think of this Hopkins kid for UAB? Because you wrote him up. I have him as kind of a value play too. He's not like a cash type play, right?
I mean, so it's weird because I think it's GPP. But if you need a cheap guy, it's either him or Hardison for UTEP. They're like kind of the only 2 cheap guys I'd be comfortable with. I mean, Ben Bryant, I think, is a little bit more expensive, but I think that's risky against Liberty. But I think so. It's either Hardison or Hopkins. I just like Hopkins more. I mean, the BYU defense has not been like a strong point this year, and they've
no.
So BYU is a team, and this is actually something I wanted to touch on real quick, is just motivation factors for all these teams. And we were just talking about it with Malik Willis. He's got motivation to play well, to look good for NFL draft scouts. BYU though, this matchup in this game, this bowl game versus UAB. It could just be like a situation where they don't care as much, and the spread is very interesting. 6.5 point favorites. You'd think they'd be favored by a lot more.
Yeah.
So I think there's two ways to look at it. Either they come out and they're motivated and they're clearly the better team, so they should dominate. But if they kind of, and it goes for the offense and defense, if they just aren't motivated, they don't care as much in this game. And UAB just has some more success against them than Vegas is saying, but then you got their offense in play and all their key guys, and Hopkins would be one of them. So that's just kind of the way. But I think again, it's just a little bit risky, and I think the low price tag kind of says that. I mean, he's been up and down for DFS all year if you've been playing him, so it's just a gamble, but. I think I'd rather take him over Hardison if you're looking at those two head to head. So,
yeah, I think I do agree with you. I think Jaron Hall is kind of a wild card. Like you just said, we don't know what BYU is going to show up. If you think about it, I mean, BYU not exactly played a schedule of real giant killers here. I mean, they've played a bunch of crappy teams. UAB is a team that should be better than they are, but they do have a good rush defense. Which Hall is a little bit of a dual threat. So I think Hall is the type of guy that may be your sneaky, or maybe like your wild card, where he could either shit the bed and just not show up, or you could just end up having a huge game, doing some running and some passing. So I'm sure it's only not playing in cash, but he could be a type of guy that could do something for you.
Yeah, well, I mean, on that note, it's like when you look at Tyler Algier for BYU, it's like he's clearly the best DFS running back on the slate, but the matchup is really bad because UAB has been tough against the run. So, as you mentioned, so I what's that?
We got weather. There's weather there too. 14 mile an hour winds, 80% chance of rain. So that's going to kind of push it more to running game too, right?
It should, yeah. I mean, Algier should see plenty of volume. Like he'll get the touches, so it's like that's the one thing you can bank on. If on the slate though, if you're just looking for like pay up guys on the slate, I mean, there aren't many like top tier running backs or receivers, so that makes him probably more popular. People are just going to plug him in. So I get that. But if it's like I'm comparing him, what we can get to wide receivers in a sec. But if like I'm comparing him to Devin Tompkins, it's like I think I'd rather play Tompkins. Just I think I know what I'm going to get. But Algier is just I don't know. I think it's just a toss up in this matchup, and BYU maybe not having a ton of motivation. Maybe this is also a game. Bowl games are always a risk because you got teams maybe looking to next year and trying to try other players out.
That's what worries me.
Yeah, and maybe Algier is like, all right, I had a great season. I'm not going to go hard in this bowl game.
I'm gonna get hurt.
Yeah, so I mean I think it's just a risk for me, but I get it. He'll probably be popular.
No, I totally agree with you. I think that's like. I see you set your betting card up today too. Cool. I gotta look at that.
Oh yeah,
I've
been trying every day to send out a college basketball card. So if you guys are interested in that,
in Florida it was legal for like 10 days. The sports book came up, the Hard Rock app, and then like 8 days later they shut it down. So I'm back to non-wagering here. So all right, never mind. Back to quarterbacks, running backs.
Well, so I mean. Quarterbacks are like
quarterbacks, right?
Yeah. Quarterbacks are. I think it's, you can take chances with all the other guys, like Nolan from Oregon State is interesting, But running back, I mean, so I wanted to get your thoughts on the top tier of running back because we got him, we got Rasheen Ali from Marshall, who also has a tough matchup on paper against Louisiana's defense. But also a guy like Algier, like, he's going to get the volume. He's been a great DFS running back all season. So he's got that proven floor ceiling there. But then you look a little bit farther down at B.J. Baylor, and you mentioned him earlier. I love him too. I think he'll be popular in cash on this slate. A really good matchup against Utah State's rush defense that's been subpar. High total game. Oregon State's projected to be the highest scoring offense on the slate right now, and we just kind of glanced over Nolan for the quarterback. And the receivers aren't that great, but I think like the way to go for Oregon State is to get Baylor in your lineup.
Yeah, Baylor's my guy. So like every lineup I'm making, especially for cash, they're starting with Willis and Baylor, especially because Utah State on the season they allowed 25.2 fantasy points a game to RB1s. And the other thing is that offensive line he runs behind. That offensive line is pretty damn elite. That doesn't get a. That's another what's the word I'm looking for? Just very they don't get
underrated.
They don't underrated. Yeah, I keep wanting to say underwhelmed. Underrated offensive line, and he's to be Baylor's a damn stud. He's just a guy I think like his offensive line. He never got the credit that he should have gotten, and like I'm looking at you, when you put in your playbook that we know the volume's going to be there. So just like Algier and Ali, and Baylor's also $2,000 cheaper than Algier. So
yeah,
Baylor's my main running back, definitely. And then I make a decision on maybe one of Ali and Algier, and then possibly go to a flex with one of those Louisiana running backs because Chris Smith's out. So I like that cheap.
Yeah.
Either Bailey, I like that cheap Montreal Jackson, and then I guess. Now we know that the Liberty we got another running back out.
Liberty, yeah.
Back, right? Yeah.
Josh Mack is out. Yeah.
So who does that put into place? Andrew Lewis?
Yeah, and I wrote about Lewis in the playbook. I mean, so he's been kind of outperforming Mack in recent games, in my opinion, and statistically he has. And this Liberty backfield has the best matchup on this slate. Eastern Michigan's rush defense has been terrible. They've been getting gashed every single week in the Mack. And I think, it's with Liberty, it's always tough because, you got Malik Willis running around. You got him also throwing it a lot. So it's like the running backs don't always get a ton of volume and don't have a great floor. But like Lewis, if he's stepping into more carries now with Mack out, I like that a lot more.
Didn't he miss the Army game, though? Lewis, just gotta make sure he's playing. He's on the depth chart, but I think he did miss the last game.
I might have missed that. He might have.
I got to look it up, but he's on the depth chart, so
yeah,
we're assuming he's playing. And without Joshua Mack, I think you're right. I think Lewis is the better running back than TJ Green. So
yeah, it might just mean more. I mean, like I think Willis is going to run a lot. Whether he's going to be throwing it and running it a lot in this game, in my opinion. I just think he's going to be a one-man wrecking crew. So I think the Mack injury or not injury, he's out for declaring for the draft. So with him being out, I would say it kind of just bumps up Willis more. The Liberty running backs are still just a gamble, in my opinion. Tough to trust.
Yeah, I like, and even no, you're right.
Yeah, but the Louisville guys or Louisiana guys, So Chris Smith is out, their lead guy, and recently it's been a Bailey being the lead back, kind of over Smith anyway. He's been taking over, more touches, more yardage every game. We scored a touchdown in 3 straight. I think he's a great cash play on the slate. Marshall's rush defense is not good. They've been bad all year. And Louisiana, just a run-heavy offense, going to lean on him. And then, Montreal Johnson's the other guy who's now the number 2, and also very much in play because Louisiana runs multiple running backs out there every game. Likes to have a multi-back system. Just an interesting note here. So Louisiana's coach is no longer there. He's now coaching Florida. So just maybe a wrinkle. Maybe the new guy has maybe he favors Montreal Johnson over Bailey. Who knows? But it's just but I think like recent games, it's hard to take that fully into account, saying Bailey has been the guy, just because who knows? It could be a guy farther down the depth chart that starts getting more run just because he wants to see what they have for next year. So I think that's just something to note here.
Yeah, no, definitely. And, another guy I think may come in here sneaky, because I think a lot of people assume he's out because we all thought he was going to be out, is Dwayne McBride is playing. And he's a guy with 1,200 yards in a season. I mean, he's a damn good runner, 12 touchdowns, and we're gonna catch him for 4.8. So I think who's the other running back there? Man, I played him too, but I think McBride, he wouldn't be playing this game getting hurt. I mean, if he's not ready to play. So if I think he's gonna get a full burn, I think I would have McBride in most of my lineups at 4.8. He's way too good of a runner, and you know what you're getting. And then you could possibly get like a Tompkins in your lineup. You'll be able to get a lot of the guys that you want.
The McBride is like so when I was writing up this playbook, he wasn't like definitely playing. It was kind of questionable tag, and but now that he's playing more, I think like he's more in play. BYU
was Jermaine Brown. That's what I couldn't think of his name. Brown is
okay. BYU's defense has not been, strong, whether it's against the run or against the pass. They've just kind of been middle of the pack all year against whoever they've been playing. So, I don't mind McBride at all. And he's cheap enough on both sites to kind of get in there for cash or, for GPP. So, especially if you got people, all the other running backs we were talking about, like people are going there instead. So, but yeah, those are good calls. Looking at receiver now, we got so Devin Tompkins is kind of the big question for me. He's going to be a top wide receiver in the draft, and I think maybe this is just a chance where we get to see him, his last big game to show out and improve his draft stock, or he could sit out. We have no idea. I mean, this is like one of those instances where I wouldn't be surprised if he sat out, or if he's just not playing as much. We've seen this with top draft picks all the time in bowl games, just not caring as much or not trying as hard, not caring if the team gets a win or not. I would like to think that he's going to be out there and being a stud. So the ceiling is there. I just think it's just a risk, obviously. And this game is at. What do we got? This game is at 7:30 Eastern tonight. So that's just kind of one of those things where you have to sit around and wait. And between that game and then the game after is Louisiana Marshall. There aren't a ton of pivots because he's the highest price.
No, and that takes the question too. Where what do you think of if you decide that Logan Bonner is your super flex, and you find out that Tompkins is out, is that going to downgrade Bonner? Because those other two, Brandon Bowling and Derek Wright, are two pretty damn good receivers. If Tompkins goes up, I have no problem pivoting to Derek Wright. I mean, he's got 10 targets to his last 3 games, 11 touchdowns on a year. So I guess you still keep Bonner in, right? I mean, Bonner probably gets downgraded a little bit without Tompkins, but still. And this was on my mind now. We didn't even mention the running back here. You got kind of Calvin Tyler in a little bit of a revenge game here, going up against his former team. So I wonder if that's going to get Calvin Tyler amped up a little bit at running back. That's another running back we didn't really mention in this game. So I might put him in a couple PPPs.
That's a good call. I forgot about that.
I did. It just dawned on me too as I was looking at the opponent. So, these are good receivers here. The Bonner's got even without Tompkins. And I do think that those guys, Wright and Bowling, are in good spots because the nickel corner is a really bad corner for Oregon State. So these guys in the slot should be upgraded. I'm looking at the PFF coverage, so
yeah,
I'm liking Logan Bonner more and more.
Yeah, I like Wright a good amount here because he's right in that range where could be more expensive, and I wouldn't be surprised just because he's been a touchdown machine. Just he's got you mentioned his 11 total touchdowns, but 9 touchdowns over the last 7 games to end the year. So yeah, it's been him. It's been Tompkins. Brandon Bowling is interesting. Justin McGriff is kind of that fourth guy. That's also a cheap play if you need one.
He's gonna say, I think he may be the one that may be the sneaky play of Tompkins that sits. I think McGruff may be McGruff. That's the crime dog. McGriff may actually be that one play that may take you over somebody that's going in GPP. This McGriff may turn out to be a good play if Tompkins is out.
Yeah. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, that's something you just kind of have to. I think Tompkins plays, honestly. I do.
I do too. I think so too. But.
Yeah. And so if he plays, I mean, he's a top play, right? Being, especially if you want to pair him with Bonner. I think that pairing is going to be really a really good way. And people might just avoid Tompkins just because they want to get some of the guys in earlier games, from especially at Fresno State, if we get word Hayner's playing and people are trying to pair Hayner with Jalen Cropper, maybe. Cropper's been a little underwhelming in recent games, so it's hard to pay him in cash. But, I like him in GPPs. He's obviously one of those guys that could go off, break the slate. From Fresno, though, I like Josh Kelly more, just a bit cheaper. Been similar or better production than Cropper in recent games. So, I like him a good amount.
Meatball too, there.
Yeah, this quarterback situation though, it just makes all the Fresno guys just maybe GPP territory because you don't know if it's a new guy in there, then he's got a different favorite receiver or whatever. So
I'm not touching anything on Fresno State.
Yeah.
I like Kevin Bradford, Oregon State.
Yeah, he's interesting. The Oregon State guys are all cheap, the receivers. So I think it's a high total game. So if you're playing Nolan, the quarterback, I think you can pair him with Bradford or one of these other cheap guys just to get some exposure to that total. And him, the Oregon State offense outside of Baylor is probably going to be just contrarian way to go because people might just be going Baylor from this offense and kind of ignoring the rest, right?
Yeah, and that's why I brought up Bradford. But normally you don't. For these guys, for DFS, you usually avoid them. But I think Bradford is the best of all those. And I saw I gotta give Mike Bainbridge credit this one. Place and scores all-time receiving list. So just kind of maybe throwing a couple extra targets to Bradford today too, maybe to get to that 10th all-time in the school, which is a big deal, I guess. So.
Yeah, those motivations are always a factor for DFS for sure.
Yeah, especially if a game gets out of hand or something, and you still at least try to get the ball a little bit. So I just think Tompkins is the guy. Right?
Yeah, I do like Jacob Cowing a good amount. I just think he's been really good for DFS, and UTEP is an interesting team. You wonder how much success they'll have in this early game against Fresno. It's kind of a weird game in my opinion because you got UTEP is 11-point favorites or underdogs to Fresno State, which makes me feel like Hayner's playing the fact that Fresno is favored by that much. So if that's the way the game's going to go, then you think UTEP's going to be throwing more. So I do like Cowing just for maybe more targets than some of the other receivers on the slate. The BYU receivers, I wanted to touch on these guys. So we got Gunnar Romney has been out, but he's expected to play. Neil Payu, I don't even know how you say his last name. He is out, or he's doubtful. He's been out, and he's said he's been highly doubtful for today. So I would expect him to be out. They already have Isaac Rex that's been out. So we got, Puka Nakua, who I think is going to be one of the top guys for Jaron Hall today. Even if Romney plays, I like him a good amount more. And then his brother Samson Nakua is also there at min price on DraftKings and cheap enough on FanDuel. So if you're looking for like a cheaper receiver, I think those guys are firmly in play. For that. I mean, what do you think about this BYU receiving core?
Yep, I think that Nakua is going to be probably very popular. Samson is going to be really popular because Samson Nakua is going to be really popular because of his price. Samson's the one that's cheaper, right?
Yeah, he's min price on DraftKings.
Yeah, but Puka's 4.9 and Samson's 3.0. So both of them are in play, definitely. I think Samson would be the one that people are going to be gravitating toward because there you get that value play. Everybody's looking for that 3K player, right? You can you can fit another running back in or something like that. So
but the other 3K range guy that I was looking at is Errol Rogers Jr. And he is, so we got Peter LeBlanc for Louisiana that's out for this game.
Peter LeBlanc's been around forever.
Yeah. And we got so even though Louisiana run heavy offense, I just think that Rogers has gotten enough volume in recent games to kind of return value there. Again, Louisiana just being without their coach, you wonder if the new guy is playing some of the younger players or trying out different lineups. It's really a gamble there with Louisiana's offense, but I think Rogers Jr. is going to step into more targets now with LeBlanc being out. Same goes for the rest of their receiving core. So I think that those guys are interesting. And then the last group I want to mention, just the Eastern Michigan receivers. Because we got this high total game against Liberty, probably going to be thrown a ton because the Eastern Michigan's defense isn't that great. So we got EMU just tossing it around, and Tanner New is the guy I was looking at. I mean, he's been kind of more involved since he made his debut week 10. So I think he's been more involved than some of the other guys, and just not priced like it right now. So the last chance to get one of these guys in, and all these guys are kind of one-offs, the Eastern Michigan guys, because I don't know if you're playing Ben Bryant on the slate. So it's hard to stack up or get multiple Eastern Michigan just because Liberty's defense has been pretty good this year. So, I think that would be the way to go there.
I think Fade Doyne is going to be.
He's an interesting guy.
Yep, I think he's going to be, and I think he's not going to be popular.
No,
I think he's going to be. He may come out and be one of the top. He could come out and be one of the top plays of the slate, really. So, but I think he's not going to see ownership. Tanner, you mentioned Tanner Canoe. Canoe is what's he been playing? 3 weeks now. He's actually been their best receiver, right? You said over the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
We never even mentioned one name we didn't mention. Who I think may end up being the best out of all these guys is Jacob Cowing. I know I just switched teams, but Jacob Cowing is another name that. I mean, he's another one of those guys that most people don't even know who Jacob Cowing is, but he's at 1,330 yards this year, 8 touchdowns, averaging 24 fantasy points a game. They're dogs. They're 12-point dogs. So they're going to throw 18 fantasy points plus 9 of 11 games. And he's only 6'4", which actually is pretty damn cheap for those numbers. And Cannon is going to go right under the radar today too, I think. If he was like 5K, it'd be all over him, but he's going to definitely be on the radar. is Cowing? If you're going to compare them, what
Yeah,
is
I mean,
price?
If you're comparing him,
same price range.
If you're comparing him to like Jalen Cropper from Fresno State, I'd much rather go Cowing in that same game.
Exact same price.
Yeah. So I like, I think like, and if also like, if you're just looking at the slate overall, and if you're comparing him to running backs, like top running backs, for flex reasons maybe, like just which guys are you gonna pay up for besides quarterback? Like I'd rather pay up for Cowing than some of the other running backs. Maybe even Rasheen Ali. I would rather pay for Cowing and get a little savings there comparatively. So yeah, I like Cowing. I like that call. It's Tompkins, Cowing, and Jalen Cropper. We haven't touched on much, but I just feel like with the weird quarterback situation, it's hard to play him on the slate. So, by the way, the Utah State guys, like you could stack up multiple guys with Logan Bonner. I mean, even if you're playing Tompkins, you could still play like Bowling or Derek Wright or McGriff, as we mentioned. So, the Utah State, Oregon State is like clearly a game to target in the slate. So, if you want to just stack up multiple guys from there, I don't blame you at all. And Oregon State's only 7-point favorites, so it's not like it's going to be a blowout either way. It's going to be a close game throughout, in all facets of each game or each team are in play. So that's that. Just looking for. I don't see any basketball injuries that I'm missing here, or lineup news.
I haven't seen anything new.
Yeah.
Come across. Texas Tech looks like
I'm seeing Terrence Shannon warming up.
Yeah, see him warming up. So no,
that game's
nothing new.
That game's gonna be a good one. Texas Tech and Gonzaga.
Yeah, Tech's a pretty good sized favorite over Gonzaga from the latest I saw there.
That game started noon Eastern. I think that's actually tipped off. We're live here, so it's like.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, it did. You're right. It was an early game. It was the early DK. What would you have? And I meant to ask you before you came on air. You're the wagering guy. Would you have taken Gonzaga in that? Because I had I had like 5-point dog or something, right?
No, so I actually think I was looking at your playbook. You might have had the odds flipped on that because Gonzaga's favored. Yeah, Gonzaga's favored by like. Gonzaga's favored by like 8.5 or 9.5. I saw. So, I like them at. I think it's going to be a comfortable win for them. Honestly, I just think they're more battle tested. I do like them a lot more than Texas Tech. So I would take.
And Gonzaga. I was even going to. I must have where I got them odds. I even went back to look. I was like, wow, I can't believe Gonzaga is actually a dog here. And either I read it wrong or I had it was wrong. I guess it doesn't matter now, but it's still, I'm looking at his Gonzaga.
When we were doing the stream, I saw that on the playbook, and I was like, oh, Gonzaga's underdogs. I was like, no wait,
it's 9.5. Yeah, they're 9.5 favorites. Yeah, sorry.
No, it's all good. If they're underdogs, I'd love that. Yeah, if you can get them as underdogs.
Something just popped up on Josh LeBlanc, but we just said he's out, right? I just popped across my screen and went away already on Twitter. But LeBlanc is out, right? Josh LeBlanc's been playing college football for 10 years. Seems like.
Wait, who's this?
This is important if you're playing. If you're playing these slates, you want to be paying attention before Twitter. The worst is when you get somebody like a Devin Tompkins that all of a sudden 5 minutes after lock, you find out he's not playing. You know what I mean? Some of these beat writers are bad. They have no business trying to be. Wait,
who did you say was out?
I just saw some LeBlanc. Didn't we already say we already said LeBlanc?
Oh yeah,
out, right?
Peter LeBlanc for Louisiana.
Yeah,
he's out
across Twitter. Okay.
Yeah. He was reported out like previously. So yeah, he's out. But yeah, that's what I was saying. It pushes up some of those Louisiana receivers. So, all right. Well, we are at we've been live here for an hour, so let's sign off here. And but like
I agree with your core. I just saw you coordinate in your game in the playbook, and that's pretty much would be my core: Bonner, Baylor, and Nakua. So, and of course we got to play Malik too. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Malik. I didn't put him in the core because just like I think I like Bonner for the price point. If you're thinking about just one quarterback, I guess. But
yeah,
like Malik Bonner is like my favorite pairing for sure. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll both be in the Discord helping you guys answer questions as always and covering college basketball, college football, DFS all year long. So appreciate you guys checking out this live stream. As you guys have been all college football season. This is probably the last college football stream we'll be doing, but me and Pete will be back doing some basketball stuff. So we'll be around. We got all games all day. So injury news and stuff. Make sure you're paying attention, and we'll be helping you guys out in the Discord and helping you guys win. So basketball.
Yeah, anything I see on Discord. So
yeah,
if anybody sees something, post it too, because we miss stuff too. So.
And if you're just missing the DFSalarm.com, just check out the playbook for basketball, college basketball. Pete's got that one, and I've got the college football. So go check them out. Appreciate everyone listening here and watching here. Pete, always good, and good luck today in all your lineups, man.
Yeah, we'll have some college hoop shows coming up, hopefully.
Yes, sir. Yeah, should be good. All right. Appreciate everyone watching. Have a good one.